Hello, this is Dr. Nicola Ducharme. How are you today? So I wanted to just jump on very quickly and give you a little bit of information about a topic that I think is really important. But then I'm also next week going to do a more in-depth training about it. So I wanted to just talk about the importance of addressing mold and candida in the sinuses. And now that I'm doing more and more mold treatment, because so many of my Lyme patients have mycotoxin illness as well. And, candida overgrowth is something that I've worked with for many, many years. I'm realizing as I work through these protocols and develop sort of my own protocols, the importance of addressing mold and candida in the sinuses. And so one thing that I'm realizing now is how crucial that is when we're looking at detoxing the body. We're looking at using binders to try and, bind mold mycotoxins and pull them out of the body. I am finding it's a tremendous help to be using nasal sprays in conjunction with those processes. So, in a perfect world, we would be doing detox helpers like NRF2 activation and glutathione, like internal systemic detox helpers. And then we would also be doing binders to try and pull those toxins in. But even people who don't have sinus issues that they know of, don't have congestion or don't have postnasal drip, are benefiting from a variety of different nasal sprays. Some of them are over the counter, some of them are prescription. And in this training on Monday, I'm going to go into that in a lot more depth and really talk through the different nasal sprays, which ones I use. They're not all prescription. So if you aren't necessarily under the care of a doctor that could prescribe, it's okay. There are still options available. But one thing I found is, if you have mold toxins in your body, then you have candida. That it's yeast, mold, fungus, it all overlaps. And so in terms of nasal swabs and testing for this, I don't typically do a lot of testing for it. I know there are a lot of docs that do mark-ons testing. And I'll talk more about that in the more in-depth training. I only have a few minutes to spend here today. But we can do a nasal swab and test for mark-ons, which is really a kind of staph. It's more of a bacterial issue. And historically, unless I had a mark-ons positive, I wouldn't necessarily do the nasal sprays. But now I am seeing that they're of great benefit, not only in clearing the sinuses and clearing, blockages in the ears, just sort of those upper respiratory symptoms, but also in clearing brain fog and mental function as well. And so I think this is a really important piece. And it's now something that I integrate in pretty much all of my folks that I'm working with mold, with candida overgrowth. And so what I want to give you in the training is a little bit more about mark-ons and about that nasal swab. I am not, like I said, I'm not dependent on doing that for doing the nasal sprays, because at this point I am assuming that if somebody has mold in their body, if somebody has candida overgrowth, then there's going to be sinus involvement. And so we use some antibacterial spray, we use some antifungal sprays, and that has been a really great addition to the mold protocols. And I know, Neil Nathan is big on that. Dr. Brewer is big on that. And they've sort of, they've carved out their own protocols too. So I'm kind of getting in a little bit of a groove with kind of what I'm seeing working and the sequence of what I'm suggesting and recommending, different things for different people's level of sensitivity. So it's just something that, I think people need to be aware of if there's a mold or candida issue. And even my Lyme patients that don't show up high on mycotoxins, sometimes we have reason to do mark-ons testing, or sometimes we have reason to do the nasal sprays anyway, and they can be helpful, but especially with the mold and fungal element. So it's a very, very important piece. So stay tuned. I am going to be going live to the Dr. Nicola Ducharme page and the Restore Medicine page at the same time. And so you will get to see that information Monday, 11 a.m. Pacific. And I will post that on the pages as well, just so you've got notification of that. So that will be all for right now. I look forward to talking with you again in a few days and giving you more information on what I think is a really important topic. take good care of yourselves and stay safe.